Well, hello everybody, and good morning from Song of the Morning Ranch. This is a live stream that's not on our regular schedule, but I wanted to make good on the audio that we didn't get to broadcast last Thursday because the our internet service was interrupted. So I'm going to make good on that, and this is from Yogacharya J Oliver Black's meditation instruction at Detroit Institute of Arts. The date is on the right down here. You can see it. It's September 22nd, 1968. And just because this is a surprise, I was going to send out an email, but because time is slipping away, I didn't have time to send out the email. But it will be posted on Facebook and on YouTube, so that those of you who didn't get to hear the audio last week, which was everybody who was listening to the broadcast, and we had a fairly large group in the lodge, that you can hear some of our chanting if you go back to our broadcast from that date, which was, don't tell me, it was the 22nd, August 22nd. So you can go to the YouTube channel or Facebook and see the post from that live broadcast of the chanting, but unfortunately not the audio of Yogacharya. I also had said a few words about Yogacharya's style. He, of course, was a disciple of Paramahansa Yogananda, and he was also a contemporary of Paramahansa Yogananda. They were both born the same year. But of course, Paramahansa Yogananda passed away in 1952. Yogacharya Oliver was an SRF minister at the Detroit Center. And Paramahansa Yogananda was a high-profile public speaker of his day. And you could imagine that he had this fiery and emotional style, like many speakers did in the 20s and 30s. So Yogacharya had mentioned that when Paramahansa Yogananda spoke, he would speak a phrase like, "Awaken devotion," with such great power and such an amazing effect that it would just shake the people, and it would be an amazing thing. In later years, we hear Paramahansa Yogananda speaking with a more subtle style, maybe a little less emotion, but of course always with great wisdom. And a lot of those speeches were translated into books that were transcribed by Dayamata and other disciples. Nowadays, the SRF ministers and monastics who speak at the temple services out and at convocation have taken this more subtle approach, and they've been great inspiration to us. But Yogacharya rarely spoke his own words in the matter of a lecture or speech presentation, as they do at some of the SRF services out west, since he read the service readings, which were Master's own words. At that segment of the service, he would read the service readings, but in the lead up to the meditation, he would give us meditation instruction in his own words. Speaking of Yogacharya giving speeches, he gave an impromptu talk at the 1970 convocation that he told many of us about. He said he was caught, or he was directed to give an impromptu speech at the convocation, and he told the story that is, I believe it's in the lessons, about the war between the birds and the animals. You can look it up yourself. It's an interesting story. And my guess is that his talk didn't go over that well, because this wasn't the kind of setting where Yogacharya was most comfortable. He was certainly not afraid of public speaking at that point. He had taken the Dale Carnegie course, and he recommended this public speaking course to everybody, to others, several, and he even paid, I believe, in the 1950s to have the SRF monastics and ministers to take the course. And he said that his master, Paramahansa Yogananda, as masters do, will concentrate on a weak attribute of the disciple. And Yogacharya said, he certainly got my weakness. Public speaking was, certainly something that I was not wanting to do, but he took his master's direction and became very strong in talking in front of other people. He turned his weakness into a strength. He was able to speak from his soul and heart most effectively, though, in a more intimate, relaxed setting rather than a lecture setting. He would speak at length sometimes when we were gathered at the lodge, and after meditations he would sometimes go on for hours into the night. Sometimes it would happen at the dinner table. I remember one Christmas in particular where Yogacharya talked after dinner, sitting at the table for hours into the late afternoon. And he wore some of us younger students out. And but it was just a wonder to sit and listen to Yogacharya talk on topics, even if they weren't particularly spiritual. He would have a calmness, a great inner joy and enthusiasm. And he would go off in a deeply interesting discourse. Also, after the SRF services in Detroit, we would meet at the cafe after the service. And sometimes those sessions would lead way into the late afternoon sometimes. But these recordings we have of Yogacharya speaking are from the Detroit Institute of Arts SRF services, where he would lead into meditation and give us meditation instruction. And I believe, my opinion is, this is Yogacharya's richest legacy. They were not lectures per se, but he talked in his own words, teachings and the practice of meditation that his master, Paramahansa Yogananda, had given him. And he stressed the importance of meditation and regular practice. He often said that his master said, meditation is the missing link between religion and realization. So us students and devotees who came to Oliver Black, we were hungry to learn and become more proficient at meditation. And we were extremely inspired that a Western devotee of Paramahansa Yogananda had achieved the goal of realization through yoga meditation. So Oliver Black was following the directive of his master to impart the teachings to others in undiluted form. For me, my thought was that it was the only game in town, because here was an accessible, direct, living disciple of Paramahansa Yogananda, and we felt that we were getting the best that there was, the purest, most direct teachings, and we expected it, we anticipated it, we demanded it, and we got it. So here is a recording of one of Yogacharya Oliver Black's meditation instructions from an SRF service on September 22nd, 1968 at the Detroit Institute of Arts. He leads us into the meditation with many of the basics of posture and he would also throw in some tidbits for those experienced meditators also. And this is one of many dozens of recordings we have, and you can see some of the other recordings on previous YouTube videos on our YouTube channel, which is Whispers of Om, or they will also be posted on Facebook. And we will do it every Thursday at 1 p.m. We will have chanting for 30 minutes and play a Yogacharya J Oliver Black audio of his meditation instruction. And we're constantly transferring the audios into digital form. So we're, as fast as we can get them, we will get them out to you. So here's the audio from September 22nd, 1968.
Now, as we get ready for our devotional meditation this morning, let us all sit uprightly in our seats, with our spine straight, shoulder blades together, feet placed flatly on the floor and together, chin level, leaning slightly forward for balance. Now, as we have now taken our meditation posture, let us rest there for a moment or two. and so that your breathing will become more rhythmic, and that you'll notice that your rhythm of the breath will change after you have taken your meditation posture. The idea of meditation, or the meditation posture, it's the beginning effort to be able to get at your own mind and to be able to control it and to be able to do with it whatever your will directs. The ordinary status of the mind in the average devotee is that the mind is restless, it's all upset, it's wavering this way and that way, every direction, because we have desire-infested minds. Our minds are always trying to produce, by the process of thinking and reasoning, how to produce the object of a desire. Now that is a tremendous hurdle, and one that should be overcome as far as being able to be adept in meditation. Because in meditation, just the reverse is practiced. Instead of allowing the mind to keep going in a wayward way, in a restless way, is to slow it down and quiet it so that you reduce the process of thinking to nothing at all eventually. But relaxation produces not only physical body rest, but it will also create rest for the mind. Now when you begin to learn how to meditate, the eye mudra, or the mudra for concentrating the eyes at the mid spot between the eyebrows, is most important. It is said that we see things in the physical world by looking straight ahead of us. If moments of reflection to tap the subconscious mind, the habit is to look down. And when you even in moments of meditation, unless you're trained in yoga meditation, then it's a little bit different. It has another variance, that is, in that when you meditate with your eyes turned upward to the point between your eyebrows, and then you can get into the superconscious aspect of your own mind. So that the superconscious aspect is the area of light that is in each and every one of us. That is the light that permeates the universe. It's inside of you, outside of you, everywhere present. So when you begin to learn how to turn up that attention of the eyes at the point between the eyebrows, and then you are ready now to penetrate the darkness that covers closed eyes and enter into that ocean of light, or that ocean of intelligence, or cosmic intelligence, or into the Christ consciousness. Call it by any name you wish, because it's called different names in different cultures. But the goal of our seeking is just behind the darkness of closed eyes. So how can you, unless you do a change of some kind from the past habits, the habits we've developed in the past, we have lost sight of this area of light which is just behind the darkness of closed eyes. Now if we can even imagine ourselves as close to God as we really are, when God is inside of us, outside of us, above, beneath, and everywhere present. So He isn't any distance away, He's right here, right now. Now the meditating yogi, or the one that learns how to meditate, takes time out. He practices posture, body posture, in order to be able to relax the body, the nerves, and the nerves. But after all, the nerve tensions come, and the body tensions come from the mind. and they're all in the mind. So when we learn how to relax the mind, then that relieves nerve tension, and then from there it's body and muscles, you see, what we call our bodies. Of course, our nervous system is said that in occult parlance, that the astral body functions through the nervous system. So when we meditate at the point between the eyebrows, then we're actually really knocking on the door to enter the infinite consciousness, the temple of omnipresence, where we see everywhere at the same time. And the only way to draw on the infinite wisdom and understanding out of the infinite consciousness is learn how to be quiet yourself, and still your body, still your mind. Perfect concentration is when your mind is thinking of nothing at all. You get your mind clear like a mirror, and you begin to see the light of your own self, and then the infinite consciousness can place before the mirror of your mind objects for interpretation in terms of your own understanding. The mirror of the mind, everyone has a spiritual eye, and everyone has the mirror of the mind if he just removes the darkness that causes it not to be non-reflective anymore. So there's a real definite scientific reason why meditation is going to be the uppermost science of the future, and it's coming so fast. And unless we do go to the inner source, where do we go? It's been declared as long as we have teachings that the inner source, the source of our seeking, is within ourselves, not outside. Jesus said it in this way. He said, the kingdom of heaven is inside of you. And that now is the accepted time, the kingdom of heaven is at hand, and all those things. Well, they've known these things for ages, that these ultimate teachings that finally leads us to our liberation, leads us to our own self-realization, where we too can have conscious communion with the indwelling presence. Talk back and forth. When our vision is open, I've mentioned it before, right out here in the Art Institute, I can show you a dozen paintings out there where the single eye, and one out there in the foyer there where we used to, just this side of the patio out there where you have lunch. If you look to the left as you go in there, over that cabinet there is one. If you go up to it and look at it, you'll see the single eye indicated there, and that picture was painted 700 years ago. I can show you others doing the same thing. These teachings have been taught down through the ages, but they've come to the attention of very few because they haven't been properly taught. Jesus said, if thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be filled with light. Take heed ye therefore that the light within you be not darkness. You can read it yourself in the book of Matthew and also in the book of St. Luke. So if all you see when you close your eyes is just blackness, then you have a task before you, an evolutionary task that sometime or other in some lifetime you will have to learn how to penetrate that with the pickaxe of meditation, as Master used to say.
All right, thank you for listening. Of course, you're encouraged to meditate further on your own, and great more length of a meditation you can do after we finished the broadcast. So thank you for watching, and thank you, Yogacharya, as always. Thank you, great masters, for imparting these teachings. And we will be doing chanting and meditation Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and that will be the day after tomorrow. And every Thursday, I have been keeping to our schedule fairly well. So thank you.